I'm V.
And I'm Kay.
And we got something to say.
Season 2.
Hey, y'all.
What's up, everybody?
Hey.
I did it at the exact same time. That's how in sync Viet and I are.
Yeah, truly. Kobe, what's good? What's going on?
What's going on? Episode 7. I'm so excited.
Truly, as I was typing to save this file, I was like, are we at episode 7 in our season 2 already?
It's wild.
Very wild. Wow, what a time.
What a time. Well, happy Friday. We're recording this. As you guys know, we record on Fridays. We usually publish on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Friday. Viet, what's going on? You ready for the weekend?
Yeah, happy Friday. Happy April. Whatever that means. I don't know what that means.
Crazy.
I guess we're in a new month. Sure. You know, the sun's out more if you're in America. I don't know.
Literally, who was March? Who was March? Who was she?
I think March went by so quickly. But I don't know.
She was
happened.
a whisper in the wind. I have no idea. A whisper in the wind. She flew by. I guess we're in spring now, so everyone. This is the time to clean shit out. Okay, it's the time to be reborn, to rebirth things. Jesus is about to be born, or he's about to come back. My bad. It's not Christmas.
Yeah, happy Good Friday.
Yeah, happy Good Friday, y'all. Wait, I was gonna say, I hope y'all get those good deals, but that's good. That's Black Friday.
Hey, good deals as well on Good Friday. Okay.
I really hope that there are actually discounts on Good Friday because I fully confused the two. Fully.
And happy Easter this weekend as well for those who celebrate and partake. You know what, Chloe? I like what you said about spring cleaning. Here we are. So question for you: are you doing some spring cleaning? In the literal sense, in the mindset sense, what are we doing?
Gosh, I feel I'm so excited to answer. I feel this whole springtime rejuvenation, cleaning, the whole the ideas and the changes that come along with spring. I feel the same way about it as I do New Year's. I know it's the season for it and everyone's like, this is the time to change. This is the time to set goals, yada, yada. But honestly, I'm the kind of person, and we've talked about this in previous episodes, I'm the kind of person where I'm always doing that. So to be totally honest, I don't have I'm going to just, fix my life like Iyanla Van said. I'm going to just turn everything on. I don't really have, that's not the space that I'm really in. I'm kind of along more of the lines of, I'm just trucking along, I'm cruising, I'm cruise control,
Mm-hmm. We're
what about you,
steady neutral, you know what I'm saying?
A steady neutral.
Well, actually, I know that you're kind of lying because you've been hustling. So I'm going to just plug that. You've been hustling this time. You're like, I'm just chilling.
I never feel like it's hustling though.
Sure.
And that's a real problem that I have. I'm very bad at just settling in the moment. And I'm very bad at also recognizing the work that I do put into things. And I only recognize it when I put things out and people are like, what? And I'm like, oh yeah. But what about you, Viet? What about you? Are you feeling spring? Are you blossoming right now?
No, I'm kidding. That's dramatic. You know what? We're very similar in this way. I feel like every 2.5 seconds, we're trying to reimagine ourselves.
Literally.
And plan the future. So I will say, I think my spring ritual, and this is not just spring, but kind of winter too. I do a clothing haul where I switch some stuff out. And I've decided this coming week, I'm going to put the winter stuff away, bring out the spring and summer fits, which means that I'm going to purge some of the stuff that I have. And I feel like that in itself is kind of my spring cleaning. And the physical, ooh, it's time to get rid of those jeans. Ditch that shirt. Probably no more crop tops anymore. You're almost 24. You got to let some of the stuff go. So when I do that, I'm like, yes, out with the wind. See you never, I'm just looking out of the screaming from the rooftops. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm doing. But yeah, similarly,
Yeah.
like it's cute. The sun's out over here. The day's longer. The skirts are getting shorter. It's a good time.
Yeah, I totally feel that. There is something, there's a beautiful ritual about, I think, if you live somewhere with seasons, about changing out your wardrobe. It does definitely, I think that also helps you kind of, think about the mentality shift. Maybe for me, because I'm in Kenya now and it's literally the sun's been out. It'll be out tomorrow. It's been out the last couple of months. I don't really feel any difference, but I do like thinking about how I think in the US during this time. Like there is a shift that happens and, thanks to the weather, thanks to your closet, Ned, and then, something happens to your mind.
Exactly. Exactly. 'Tis the season. I don't know.
Tis the season. Now, Viet, I want to talk to you about two things on my radar the last week or so.
I'm excited. I don't know any of this. This could go so many ways.
Audience, typically we we'll do a little pre-catch up before like the actual catch up, which is what we call our episodes. But we did not do that because of a special surprise that we're going to be announcing pretty soon after we talk about this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so this is fresh to Viet's ears. Okay, two things. Okay. The first one, pretty quick, some deeply, deeply upsetting news that I learned of prior to us joining this call. Today is Friday, April 2nd, 2021. And it was announced that Bridgerton season 2 will not be featuring our beloved Duke of Hastings, in real life known as, is his name Reggae? It's Reggae Jean Page, right?
Mm-hmm. I think Page? It's like a reggae or like a reggae.
Yeah, Reggae. I'm so sorry, you beautiful man, for saying your name incorrectly. But he will not be featured at all in season 2.
So, exactly. And I saw this too, and I was confused because then I said, well, what's the show going to be about then? Like, how is it still happening? Why? What happened? Did he leave? Like, now I want to know what, like, the gossip is on that.
So, I can fill you in some tea because I did some research. So, I love me some Bridgerton. So as you guys, I think we've talked about this in prior episodes, but in case you're new to us, welcome. And Bridgerton's based on a series of books, of romance novels, actually, that Miss Shonda bought. And she was like, this is about to be a steamy, steamy, steamy show. Mm-hmm. And so in the books, right. Oh, it was. So in the books, book 1 was about, what was the main girl's name? Why am I tripping right now? I can only think of her name in real life. Her name is Phoebe. What was her name on the show? Oh my God.
It's okay.
Google.
I'll do it real quick. Don't even worry about it.
Anyway, so the first book is about the Duke and Duchess of Hastings. It's like Daphne. Okay. The first book is about the Duke of Hastings and Daphne like falling for each other and their whole chaotic relationship. And then book 2 then becomes about her brother Andrew and his it's a whole new regency. It's a whole new ton, if you will. It's a whole new batch of people. So very like Bachelor-esque, like it's a whole new cast. Okay. And so it's going to be focused on Andrew's love story, the older brother who was the famous bachelor who was smashing that the opera singer. Yes. And so it's going to be his love story. Still upset because I love me some Duke of Hastings, and obviously he was like the breakout star from the show. So, Via, do you think that like him not being in the season is going to affect ratings at all?
So I didn't know that the books had different, basically plots, right? Like a different focus, essentially. Like
right.
We're following a different love experience, if you will.
Yeah.
And in that case, like I get it now why they're just shifting the main characters, right? That being said, like I would like to see Roger all the time on the screen. I would like to view him most of the time, all of the time. So gonna miss that. But I think, Shonda like has all the things up her sleeve, and I bet you, like, even with him leaving, that she's like, don't even worry about it. Like, you thought he was a breakout star, like, wait till season 2. So I'm intrigued because this is a choice. And I think we're all going to be like, well, what are we going to do without him?
Right.
But, like, Shonda knows how to get the ratings. I mean, Sis has been working on Grey's Anatomy for 500 years. So, like, I don't know what to tell you.
Honestly, that's a great point. If they are bold enough to not include him, the scripts must be so fire that they're confident that it's still going to hit. And I'm like, I don't know that I want to have some more scenes of the Duke of Hastings, licking that spoon in slow-mo. Listen. That's what we were here for.
Oh, steamy. Yeah.
Oh, steamy.
Imagine if Shonda has like another person coming up. Like, you know how this is like a big debut for Regé-Jean? this could, maybe there's another like person.
Oh, totally.
We don't know.
Also, Reggie John has booked like 12 other things since then. So like we're gonna be seeing him. So like it's fine. But also Duke of Hastings, man.
All right. Well,
Anywho, that was my one
listeners.
thing to say. Stay tuned. We'll talk about it. That was my one thing. Okay, thing number 2. Demi Lovato, as I love to call her, the Pandemi Lovato that we're currently in. Different but similar. Demi Lovato, my God. I don't know, Viet, if you got the chance to watch her documentary, Dancing with the Devil, about her. Oh my God.
Well, we both stand Demi. Like, she is like the Disney person that I feel really attached to. That I feel like she's misunderstood. I feel like she's gotten a bad rep, all the different things. Insanely talented, but I stand for Demi.
I ride hard for Demi. I've told you this before, obviously, but audience, I went to her 2018 Tell Me You Love Me tour. First of all, that album is perfect. Come for me if you think any different. And she was so amazing. It was such a good show. I laughed. I cried. I fangirled. I stand for Demi. Multi-hyphenate, talented, gorgeous, real, relatable, a millennial diva. I love her. Yeah. Anywho, this documentary. So if you guys are not familiar, Demi Lovato recently dropped a documentary, a 4-part series chronicling her infamous 2018 overdose, in which she she almost died. She was in the hospital for a really long time, and but for the longest time, we hadn't known the depth of what she was going through. And we didn't know how bad things were. We just knew that she was, off the radar for a good year and a half before she came back and just sang at the Grammys and yada, yada, yada. This documentary was all gas, no brakes, no holding back. She told us everything.
Everything. And you know what? It really, so like thinking about the Britney Spears doc, thinking about the Paris Hilton one, it's also so unfortunate that this is now like the third young celebrity, especially young female celebrity, who really like grew up in the spotlight, where we're hearing about what they were going through and like how much media scrutinized them, like just obviously the gendered side of it, just the pressure to be famous at that level. And also like we just forget to just humanize people. Like imagine, and it goes into her background and like why there were many levels that kind of, I wouldn't say led to it, but just like there were many layers to like who she was, how she was raised, who she was raised around, that then like were absolutely amplified because of this massive dose of fame. And it's like, the documentary is amazing, but it also just makes me feel like, wow, like I feel like we just forget to humanize people and like recognize like what they're, what they could be going through. And you're right. That documentary, we did not hold back anything. There's still 2 more parts. I don't know if you watched the 3rd episode because it's out already, right, Jenny? Is that true?
Yeah, I think there are currently 4 episodes out now. That's a great point. I actually don't know if there's going to be more. If there is, we'll recap it as well. But yeah, totally. I've been watching a good amount of content about child stars. And let me tell you something. I know, Viet, you were almost a child star. Thank God you weren't. Thank God. Because it's such a messed up industry to thrust a child in. There's a great documentary on Hulu. If you have that streaming platform, check out Kid 90. It's a really, really, really great documentary that follows like the biggest child stars of the 90s. So like, the people on like the Fresh Prince and like all of those kinds of guys. And it's talking about like their journey as child stars, like into adulthood, that like awkward teen stage. And like, another one where it's like, it hits you so hard, like from the sexual assault to the trauma to the drugs to the suicide. Like it's all like how you were saying, like it's all it all seems so connected to each other. And it's really, it makes you think a lot about like the way that Hollywood works and how we can potentially make it a better, safer place. But gosh, like again, like I think the last year has really, really just hammered down how just institutions, majority of our like just deeply, like some of our oldest institutions are just so messed up and have so many problems. It's just, damn, like how do we even begin to dismantle this,
Truly. The whole thing's a machine. Like
a machine.
You get thrusted into it. It's a glitz and the glam. It's a this and the that. And like it spits you out sometimes. And like totally. Some people can like ride the wave, but again, like just don't forget that these are also human beings in their own right. And imagine if you were thrusted into this like tomorrow and we're told to deal with it. Like but that documentary, I'm going to watch the next 2 episodes. I'm a little bit behind. But San Demi, also that girl can sing. She got pipes.
Listen, homegirl can blow. And I feel bad because sometimes I think, like how you were saying, her rep is very much like about the drugs, the eating disorder, all this stuff that she's been brave enough to come out about. But don't you forget, Demi can perform. Demi can sing. Her and Ariana are the most talented vocalists to come out of Disney ever. Period. Put that on my name. Period. Pooh.
Disney and Nickelodeon.
Period, Pooh. Both
platforms.
Both franchises. Stand hard.
Big time. Well, great updates. I don't know where your thoughts were going to come on that. I was like,
I'm full of surprises. I'm a mysterious woman, you know?
Speaking of full of surprises, this whole entire time as you've been chit-chatting away, we have a whole entire guest on this episode, and we're so excited to have her on here because we have been courting and flirting her to get her on this pod for a really long time. It's a big deal. Aww. Okay, we'll drop the Instagram. Don't even worry about it. We'll drop the YouTube link. And also a dear friend of you, Koi, and then by way of gotten to know her. So I'm going to stop talking, let her just say hello, introduce herself.
Oh, hi, guys. First of all, y'all had me cracking and just Googling like all these documentaries that I'm about to watch today. Because, this is... First of all, why are they doing that to the Duke of Hastings? Like, what's the explanation, y'all?
It's honestly, it's so sad. And I do think that Shonda like wants to honor how the books are, but also like this, he blew up. Like we can't not have him in some capacity.
Yeah. Legit. I watched like 4 episodes and I was like, wait, I like can't stop watching this. And now
it's not for the kids.
Yeah, it's not. It's really not. But I'm excited to be on here, y'all.
Bahati, tell them who you are. Talk about yourself, girl.
Oh God, how do you even start?
Isn't it so hard?
It's very. I guess I'll start with how I came up with like my YouTube channel. I guess that's how it started off, the whole Instagram thing. So I just started a YouTube channel pretty much when I landed in the States because there's like no explanation to like how you like transition from being like, African and like just kind of just hop over to the States knowing, I basically didn't know anybody except Will, Koi, hint, hint, Koi's boo, and my cousin. So I don't know, it was a really lonely time. And I just wanted to share, like, I think my first video was like things that are like a scam about college or something, or things I wish I knew, or I don't know. Yeah. So I guess it just started off with, I know, right? I was just like, it's all a scam. Like, why is it so hard? It's not as fun. I wasn't partying or anything. So I think that's what made me like kind of upset too. I was just like, wait, what? Like, this is so much work. I went to SCAT. So it was like pretty much like military school for like art people. But it was good. It was a good time. And then eventually I think, I ended up just blogging about like lifestyle stuff and things that are helping me with like hair care, especially because it's so different, knowing like not having just the same type of care that you would in Kenya. And pretty much just like, then it went into vlogs, I guess. I've been so kind of like all over the place. But I've been sharing a lot about just like how I've been transitioning to certain things. So it went from like college to now marriage and now a baby. And I think I just kind of was like hesitant to like showing those things, but now I'm starting to like, I guess that's what makes it like a true, a true real life kind of experience, is if I'm really talking about like the good things, the bad things, and like just to make it like less lonely for whoever is just going through like the same processes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bahati, before we talk more about, your experience and especially the content that you've been dropping recently, I just want to make sure that our audience knows who you are. This is Bahati Alderman, formerly Wangoji, who is, Bahati, what's your name on socials? It's Bahati Nzuri, right? You're still going by that?
Nzuri. Yeah. Wow.
Great.
I've had that name since like high school. It's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Gotta stick with your roots. And Bahati is a lifestyle blogger. She's a social media personality. So you can find her on all platforms. And she just shares really great content about her life and her kitchen and her home. And she's just fantastic. So that being said, talk to us more about this transition that you've been going through with your content and how you've been approaching just, your social media life.
Yeah. So pretty much, I think it was just like lifestyle stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, like hair and a lot of food. Because I don't know, food is life to me. I feel like food is like I was like eating to live for like a really long time. And then eventually I got to know Luke, who's my husband now, and he like exposed a lot about like what like the food industry is in the States and how different it is. And I was like, oh snap, like I totally need to switch this up. Like I can't be going to drive-throughs all the time, even though it made me feel good. And I was like, oh, this is like, I was like gaining a bunch of weight too, but it was still like I couldn't look at food the same way since. So eventually transitioned to like talking more about like healthier foods and just like wellness and lifestyle in general. And then I think pretty much what I noticed a lot of people gravitated to in terms of content was just like me showing, just like parts of my life where I like, I dated someone for a really long time and I had them on the channel for a while. And eventually that ended and I ended up getting married and had a baby like super fast, which I haven't even talked about that much yet. But it's just like, I was very, I guess, transparent, but also I was going through a lot at the time. So I didn't want to be like, oh, guys, like I'm going through a breakup. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to be like that type of vlogger. But I still wanted to be like, it happens. Like, you can date someone for X amount of time and, it just doesn't work out. But it's just like, it's how it would be, whether it was documented or not. It's just like, that's just how it is. So I think now with my content, I just want to be more like intentional is just like my word for 2021 or just like the word just for forever is just trying to be more intentional about what I'm putting out to see if it's like, useful, but it's still like transparent enough that I'm not trying to make it seem fake. And then it's still like, I'm still being open about like certain experiences that maybe a few people could like relate to. Because like my last video, I opened up about how I've had like a really rough time with Cairo, my baby. He's 10 months now, but he's been going through like a lot of allergy stuff and just like he ended up in the ER like pretty bad like once. Actually twice. It's been twice. It's been really crazy. So just like it's been really tough, but I don't want it to seem like, oh yeah, I'm just out here making pancakes, like everything's all cool. Oh my god, it's just like no, like things are happening behind the scenes. And a lot of like how Instagram is these days, it's like, I mean, we all know it's all highlight stuff, but I just made it intentional to make sure that it's like the cute things and the nails and the whatever and the the smoothies or whatever, but that's not what it's all about. And I think nowadays with my content, I try to be like, hey, yeah, we're going through a lot of different things. Who here can relate? And that's how I connect with a lot of like my followers. I actually love talking with them like on DMs. I wish I could just talk like all the time about their certain experiences, especially in the States, because it's like so lonely. And you guys know, it's like, no one really gets what it's like being like an African in the States unless you're there or like you're abroad somewhere. So yeah, just figuring that out is just super helpful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for context too, like, Bahati, you're Kenyan, Chloe, both and I are, we have lived like parts of our lives in the US, parts of our lives elsewhere. And it's interesting, like, cause we're all kind of in that 20s, like upper 20s, trying to get our lives together, but also like life happened, like life keeps happening, like life changes, new landmarks that we're reaching, new places that we need to be at and do, and more responsibilities. And I mean, we talked about this in our podcast a while ago about like being in your 20s and the wild time that is.
Yeah.
Like on one hand, you're still like young enough to kind of pass and like, mess up and like kind of stumble your way through it. But at the other hand, like some of the things that are happening now, like become life decisions. And I mean, I feel like you probably could share a lot about how you, navigated like the youngness of your age and of your youth, but also like having so much more responsibility.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like 20s, especially because like right after college, it's like everyone kind of branches out to do their own thing. And that's when you really look at your life and you're like, oh wait, like, am I supposed to be like in corporate? Am I supposed to like take a gap year? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Cause like everyone's just kind of been on the same path for so long
True.
that like, I don't know, I had a crazy crisis like right after I turned like got out. I was like, because I haven't been like with the books, I guess, or like I just knew I wanted to do what I guess felt right societally, like. So I was like, okay, cool. Like straight out of college, you get a job. Like that's what everybody does, right? So I ended up getting a job and like hated it so much, just because of just I guess not the job aspect of it, but it was just like it was just nothing I expected. And then I ended up quitting, which I shared on my YouTube channel too. But yeah, just 20s is crazy, yo. It's just like that point when you have to just make decisions that'll impact your life forever. Like, pretty insane. And I know you guys can relate too. But I think for me, just like that point when we just left college was like really crazy. And that happened with like friendships too.
For sure.
It's like you don't know, I don't know, your friendships change, you get into relationships, you get out of relationships. You can't relate with people anymore. I don't know. It's just like it's such a weird time, but we don't talk about it as much.
No, we don't.
We
Like
really
every
don't.
now and then
100%.
with two of my roommates, like we'll just say honestly, like who let us like make decisions?
Yeah,
like who let us also experience these real life things? I don't know what like thing I signed up for, what contract I agreed to. But half the time I'm like, I don't know if I'm really like ready.
Yeah, like straight up.
That's the thing. Yeah, your 20s, it's such an exhausting time for so many reasons, but I think it really just chalk up to the fact that so much changes so often. Like I know that even in just the 6 years now that I've been in my 20s, there have maybe been 16 different versions of me. Mm-hmm. And that's, Coe with this person, Coe at this job, Coe with this friend group, like, you know what I mean? It's so tiring. It's exhausting. And I think like how you're saying, Bahati, too, like what's also traumatizing about it is that this is the first time that you've gone through something like that. This is the first time where, there are so many different lanes that you can go down to, and you start to see your friends going down different ones. And, Bahati, you mentioned that, I think what's really interesting about your life and your experience is that, you have taken not what I would call a path less traveled, but you definitely have taken on a lot of not even 20s changes, but life changes in a very concentrated amount of time.
Yes. In like a year, like my whole life.
In like a year, right?
Calendar year.
Calendar year. A year. Yeah. So just to reiterate, Bahati, as you said, you got married and had a baby all in the span of a year, and a year that was marked by a pandemic, no less.
Truly the panorama. Like we were fully in a Pantene.
In a Pantene.
Yeah, it's even now I'm like, how has it been a year since like the pandemic just peaked, But yeah, it's been a lot, yo. It's been, even now it's still, you still have to process those things. I do a lot of like just mindset stuff. I know you guys talked about it in the beginning, like the spring cleaning thing. I'm just like, yo, if I like don't do that on like a weekly or bi-weekly basis, I'll lose it. Cause like, it's been a lot, like just transitioning from being like, just like motherhood period or parenthood is just like a whole thing of its own that a lot of people don't talk about. And then it's the freaking pandemic, so you're alone. We don't have like our African aunties, our cousins, our like people coming in with food and all that stuff to help. And I've had a pretty good support system, but it's just like the mental part of it is just like really insane. And then even being married, and I know these are all like amazing things, which they are. Like, I'm so great. I like literally wake up in the morning and I'm like, wow, like I've dreamt about like this day or this time when I would be like married and have a baby. So it's like amazing, but it's just like the transition of it for sure. Within a year has been wild. Like,
so yeah, no, wild is the word, but I think, I mean, that's the beauty of life, but wild indeed. So you tell us a little bit about this. You and your husband, Luke, you're friends prior to getting together, then eventually getting hitched. Tell us a little bit about what that transition, since we're talking about transitions, was like, and how you guys got to where you are now as a couple.
Yeah, so Luke and I were pretty much friends for forever, like 4 or 5 years. I literally met him the day I landed in the States because I went to Will's house and he was there and we just like hang out. And then I think we just became friends for such a long time that we just developed like this sort of trust that's like kind of like, you good, you straight, yeah, I'm good. Like we didn't talk every day, but it was like I always knew he was like that guy that I would like be like, oh, I'm dealing with something, like could you, like, let's just hang out, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, eventually we just I ended up having a crazy breakup. And well, I mean, it wasn't crazy, it was, I mean, breakups are all supposed to be kind of like,
they're all
you know,
different
it's
levels
like
Yeah,
of crazy, but they're all
different
crazy.
levels. Yeah,
Oh, that's
so,
the truth?
I mean,
Ain't that the truth?
It's the truth.
Sit on my chest.
I was with him for a decent amount of time, and it just ended just like how it was meant to end. I think we both knew it too. And then Luke kind of was like, "Hey, like I like you," and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like that's the first thing that came out of my mouth. I was like, "You're joking, right?" Like I just got out of a relationship. Like I was like, "What are you doing? Can I like be by myself?" You know? And he was just like, "No, I'm not trying to push. I'm just letting you know how I feel." And I don't know. I mean, we just stayed friends, and then I guess the rest is like, I hate to say it, but like history. It went so fast. I can't even recall like all the steps because we found out that we were having a baby, and then we already knew by that time we were gonna get married. Corey, I remember telling you that. You didn't know that, and we were laughing about it. But he just kept saying, "Yeah, like you're my, like we're getting married, like you're my wife," you know that. And I was like, "Okay." You don't hear a lot of guys saying stuff like that, you know? So I was
No,
like,
you
okay, I guess he's serious. So yeah, we just ended up calling my parents and being like, yeah, so there's a wedding in like 2 months. Y'all are welcome. But, like, yeah, they just came over to the States and we got married. And then how many months was that later until Kai came? Maybe like 7 months later.
7 months later. Now, Bahati, I'm curious. So you said that, Luke reached out to you after your breakup and you guys connected. And then after some time of spending time together, he told you that you had feelings for you. So I'm curious for you, what changed for you? Because, Luke had his own kind of, emotional arc when it came to his feelings for you. But what about for you? I'm curious, what changed for you? When did you start to see him in a different light?
I think just the consistency part, it's just like, he was he wasn't pushy, but he was like so like he couldn't see any other way this was not gonna work. He was like, oh yeah, I mean, you take your time, but like I'm marrying you though. I'm here. I'm gonna wait. So I don't know. Eventually, I was like, oh my god, this is like he really is the type of guy I've always wanted to be with. Like for real, he like checked off all the boxes, whatever those boxes were. Just like in terms of his personality and like just what he cares about and his values. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna just dive in. I didn't want to play
do
the
this
whole
single right here.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I trying to be like, no, like I'm gonna make him wait? And then I was like, I feel good. I'm ready. Surprisingly,
I'm sure there was a part of you that was a bit intimidated by it because I know, like, for me too, when you experience something new, perhaps something healthy, perhaps like a real show of commitment for the first time, it's scary, right?
Yeah. 100%.
And you're kind of like, is this guy like kind of full of shit? Like, I don't know. Like, so you don't know, and then, so I totally get that, that hesitancy, but I'm so glad that you were just like, you know what, like happiness is not to be underrated. Like, let me just go for it.
I was like, why not? Like, why do I have to? This whole thing of like, I don't know if it's a 20s thing, but like sometimes we get scared to just like we like self-sabotage, We're like, no, like this guy is like he's into me, but like I can't just do that because you just like self-sabotage. So I'm just like, nah, like let me not do that. Like there's no reason for me not to. So I just went in.
Honestly, that I feel like that is a big 20s things for us for a number of reasons. One, because we grew up in the generation where, like, quite honestly, there's a lot of options, or at least there is
Yeah.
the illusion of option. You know what I mean?
True.
As in, like, you got this app, you got this thing, you got, everybody is like, if I'm not talking to that person, I can talk to this person. Like, don't even worry about it. Just because we have like maximum accessibility in a way that no other generation had before. It's like on one hand, you have this illusion of like, ooh, we got options, the fish in the sea. And then at the same time, like there's also this like, I don't know if this is just my experience, but I kind of feel like, people want to just sort of date to just marry and like, boom, and that's it, And I feel like it's important to also dive in and jump in for what feels right when you have it and experience it, like regardless of like what the end game is. Like, I don't know, I've just like heard maybe more so like people I'm around, like, I won't date anyone unless I'm gonna marry them. And while I can understand that to a certain extent, I almost feel like, well, if you like this person, you both like each other, you're down, date, just do it tomorrow. Like what's the delay, let's
100%.
For sure.
I have been talking about this and thinking about this a lot recently, and I've been talking about this quite a lot. I used to be that person 1,000,000%. I used to be the girl who was so like obsessed about getting to the next level in my relationship. And it really was a form of self-sabotage 100%. While my lovers were questionable, I also think the role that I played was that I was so like, if we were hooking up, I was focused on becoming boyfriend-girlfriend. If we're boyfriend-girlfriend, I'm focused on saying I love you. If it's I love you, then it's all these things. And I'm like, man, like it's actually like amazing and is so important to just like sit there and be like, you know what? Like, I really like this person, or, oh, I love this person. I don't really know what the future will hold. And that's actually okay. And it actually won't be a waste of your time, because if it's something real and meaningful, and if you're putting your all into it and you are putting the effort into learning and growing with somebody, no matter what happens, it will always be a worthwhile experience, period.
Yeah, right. and it teaches you a lot about like what your hard lines are, because like it's like, okay, that guy reminded me of like what I cannot like stand or take, so this whole dating to marry thing, like for sure is just, it's like, how do you know? Like you won't know your own hard lines, or just like you won't know unless you like literally experience all these like different guys and situations,
Exactly.
So
100%.
And to allow yourself to fully experience it, like it doesn't matter if it's 2 seconds long, if it's 2 years, 2 decades, like just experience it, just go for it. And honestly, especially in these times, because they be stressing you out, it's the pits out here. Like lean into the happiness. Like if it feels good. I used that saying the other day. I think I accidentally brought it up in like a work setting. And she was like, what's the pits? And I was like, oh, baby.
A baby.
If you don't know, you don't know.
So sweet, Bahati, I personally am very, very far away from marriage. So whenever I talk to people who are married, I'm always like really intrigued about like, what does it actually mean to be married? Like, what are the highs and lows of marriage? And, I rarely get to speak to somebody in my age range who is well into a marriage. So I'm curious, why don't you like tell us a little bit more about, like what's marriage really like, and what have been some of the peaks and valleys of being married?
Wow, like I'm actually learning that, but I think it's just like being committed to just like whatever life throws at you, and that's honestly, truly right now, that's what I'm learning, because obviously with how much has happened in the past year, like even though we've been married for a year, it feels like so much longer, because we've seen each other when we're, at our highs, like so happy, and, at the lows, and just like, first of all, birth and everything is a whole different thing. And Luke was there to witness everything. So
we won't talk about it.
Yeah.
We won't talk about it.
There's like no filter, and there's no filter between us either. So I think it's just like deciding that you're going to be like, just like, what is this called? I think like Will Smith and Jada Smith use this, but like, is it partners or something? What do they say? Oh no, it's kind of like
they call each other their like life partners, or like something like that.
In that context, is like with I know it can get dicey, but like I guess it's like you're saying that you're gonna be with someone regardless of like regardless of the growth, because I know me and him are both going to change, but it's just like choosing that, we're going to do this life like together. And there's some people who want to do it alone. But I think we just knew that we're stronger together as a unit, just like in all different areas. Like he supports me in so many ways that I would have found difficult if I was alone. And I do the same thing for him. And as like, I feel like even being like our generation, we don't want to like admit some things or something like that, to be like, oh yeah, like if I had someone supporting me in this aspect or like teaching me about these things, then I would be better. Because I know we look to ourselves internally to like fix a lot of things, but sometimes support's like okay, whether it's like your husband or your friend or like your mom or whatever. It's like, it's not a weakness thing. It's just like, you're just like, we're humans, like we're social, like we need people, so I think that's just like how we think about it. And what helps is knowing that we're just going to go through the thicks and the thins. But the thicks and the thins, I don't even know if that's a term, but
Absolutely. There is something, I think that obviously that's the most beautiful thing about marriage is the union and the commitment. And you're right. Like, I think it's something that is not, prioritized, maybe valued as much as for our generation as it was for previous generations. So like our parents, they were much more like on the track to get there and do it. Like they prioritize that a lot more than we do. And I think it's something that's a little bit lost. You know what I mean? I think this idea of commitment has it's been warped in the last, decades, whatever, it's really, there is something so magical about that, I think, just being like, yeah, you know what? It's not going to be easy. We're not always going to like each other. We're not always going to have good faces in our marriage, but that's not, it's not about like the happiness, the joy, all of that. It's really about having somebody be a witness to your life and be a part of it and growing with somebody. And look, now y'all raising a beautiful baby boy, Kyra, who's almost 1.
I know, almost 1. I'm like, wait, what? Not a baby?
Mother, gosh. I feel like this episode could be like a 2-parter. There's so much, like there's marriage, then there's a baby.
I know. It's really wild. Wow.
Koe, you said something that was really beautiful. You better write that shit down. Having somebody be a witness to your life. And I've been thinking about that a lot too. And not only with our romantic relationships, but also with our other relationships, like our friendship relationships, and Bahati, you were talking about this too, like as you kind of grow older, like you leave college, you're a few years outside of college. Maybe you did you moved for a job, you moved for another reason, and like you kind of start to see even your friendships evolve and come and go. And I don't know, I just thought that was like really well said, Koe, about like who you're picking to be a witness in your life. Like who are those people that are along for the ride? And it could, be family members. It could be people who have become family, even if they're not blood to you. I feel like that's something that us three, like Bahati, Koe, and I have kind of have had to do because we're not always living in the same place that our blood family is, so we like kind of latch on and like make those relationships. But yeah, I just wanted to plug that. I thought that was really well said, Koe.
No, yeah, for sure.
Thank you, girl. Yeah, it's been on my mind too. Go ahead, Bahati. Tell us. We want to hear from you.
No, I was just saying, when you did say it, I don't know why my heart was like, dang, that's like super deep. Like witness to your life. It's like, whoa.
Listen, that's why I'm the writer, baby. That's why they pay me the Monets, okay?
Get her hired, please.
Please, somebody get me hired. That's my daily plug for that.
Yep.
No, but that's what it is, right? I think that's what everybody wants. And I think, I think for women our age and women born during the time that we were, I think, we have been curbed from making choices to seek that out. I think whether it is with friends, but I think especially when it comes to like romantic connections, we're not always encouraged to make decisions to find people who are going to be that witness and to make decisions to stick by those people. Because oftentimes that comes with sacrifice, right? I think, again, like this, that generation, it's so much about the individual. It's so much about, your own goals and prioritizing yourself. And don't get me wrong, like that's amazing and it's important. And we're so lucky that we have that. But there is something missing with that. I think that's why so many of us struggle with finding those lifelong partnerships or even just like long withstanding partnerships,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's so many different, like, I guess with like social and just like, even now, the fact that even I can't even relate to some, like I keep asking my friends, I'm like, are y'all like dating? Like, are y'all trying to be married? Not trying to pressure them or anything, but just like everyone's kind of in their own lane. And it's good for all of us to explore, whether it's like dating a lot of people until maybe you're like 30 or 40 or having kids until you're 40. Like there's no like, I always say this, but like there's no like blueprint for anything.
No.
Like at all.
That really is the lesson. That is the lesson.
Like,
yeah.
So, I guess we just have to be witnesses to just like everyone's journey and just like learn from each other and see what works and,
totally
keep it moving.
Bahati, I want to come back to something that you had started off with from the jump when you were talking about, social media, your blogging, how you use YouTube, being like lifestyle curator, all these different things. And especially with your most recent video where you were sharing more of your personal truths and what you've been struggling with and challenges, things like that. And I, kind of want to hear a little bit more about like when you sort of decided like, hey, you know what, like let's also document and share not just the ups, not just the cute moments, like the real stuff. And I don't know, I kind of feel like, Chloe, like you write a lot, like you're really out here on social media, promoting yourself and what you're doing. And I always find it kind of interesting to like see, like what do we share and why don't we share certain things? And like, when do we feel like we're ready to do that? And like, do you both have like feel kind of some type of way when it comes to like showing your challenges and your weaknesses on social media and like with the public in general?
Yeah, I love that question. I think just for me, it took a while. I think it at first because I used to overshare like pretty much not everything, but like like hey, here's my family, here's my mom, here's my dad, here's my brother, here's my boyfriend, like it's just like a whole thing. So I think then it got to a point where like at least I experienced like some sort of expectation that people wanted to see more of those things that I were only showing for like a glimpse moment. And then I kind of deviated back to just being like, no, I'm just going to show maybe cooking videos and stuff. And then you start to understand that you lose the connection with a lot of people because it's just kind of like, I don't know if this answers it, but it's just, it's what works for, I guess, you or me or whoever's doing it. The way I decide is just being like, okay, if I put this out, like, how would I feel about it? Like, maybe a year from now or 2 years from now, like, would I feel like it's too much? But then I'm like, okay, well, the outcome is going to be like let's say, like I just shared about Cairo. Like I got a lot of DMs from people being like, I went through the same thing. What have you done? Like, please share all the foods that you've been eating because I can't eat anything because I'm like literally the same thing. And I was shook because I didn't really expect that. I actually thought I was making the video for people who have like been following me for a while. So I was just like, okay, this is just like, just to connect, because that lack of connection is like, especially with social and like just with TikToks and Instagram. I mean, I love a TikTok, okay? Like, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, it's so fast and so like, it's like, all right, where's the like emotional, like what's like going on here? Like what's going on with this person? So I think just for me, I was just, I wanted to just feel like I was giving something to other people as well so they can relate. And that just made me feel really good that I did something that I didn't mind. And as much as it was vulnerable, I think in the end, I was glad to see that a lot of people like got a lot of like informational stuff from it or just didn't feel like they were alone. So I guess that's my angle on it. But I know, Koi, like for you, I like your article about you being diabetic and stuff. I was just like, oh, wow. And just sharing about your family too. I was like, oh, that's like a like vulnerable part of you. So
that's so funny. I was thinking the same about you because I was like, for me, I know like it's easy. Well, not easy. It obviously comes with its challenges. And I think, writing is so interesting because it's almost like, especially when you're writing about yourself and some of the harder things that you've been through, it's almost like this outer body experience where you have to still tell a story. You have to do it from the perspective that's not your own. It's weird, but that, as I'm saying, I felt the same way about you, sharing what's going on with Cairo and his so I'm gonna butcher the name of what he had. I'm so sorry. That's the severe
No,
eczema
you're
that
fine.
he had.
Yeah. I don't even know it. I'm just like severe eczema.
Yeah, but honestly, everybody make sure that you go watch Bahati's most recent video. I really think it was definitely a pivotal point in your content career, and I really appreciated your candor. But really similarly to you, I think I feel like I personally selfishly grow as an artist when I do open up about those things in my life, and very much echoing what Bahati was saying. I think it's really all a timing thing. Like I know for me, like I open up about things as they are pertinent to my life. And there's still holes and pockets about things that I want to write more about and be honest more and share with people. Cause you never know who you're going to touch. And more often than not, it's more people than you think. But yeah, there's a time for it, like a season in your life. And Bahati, we as friends have been talking a lot about, what you have been going through. It's been a hard journey. It's been a beautiful one, but a hard one. And you have shared a lot with me. And I definitely feel for you that this is the time that you're really starting to just like come back into your own and really like take ownership and find your own power as a mom, as a wife, and most importantly, as a woman, as a creative, as just a powerhouse. And I really, watching that video, it really made sense to me. I'm like, oh, this is somebody who's reconciling how she has just made it through some of the hardest and greatest things that somebody can go through. And, even the great things can be hard to swallow. So I think it's beautifully said. It's really all about the timing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I love that.
And I also feel like in a big picture sense of things, like when I read what you're writing, Chloe, when I, see the content that you're posting, Bahati, and watch the videos that you posted, like, it's also just a reminder that, like, being Black women, like, we don't, we're always like ready to show up. You know what I'm saying? We always want to put our best foot forward, like have it together, all these different things. But how important it is to also just see both of you two and like all of us just be real. And like, it's such a breath of fresh air, which just goes to show that like, we need that more, and like, that's a challenge for myself. That's a challenge for each other. But like, it's true, like Black women have to always kind of be on it. Like, that's just sort of the expectation, which is so unfortunate because it takes away from us just being real and in our humanity, But I always like when I see the stuff that you guys are sharing, I'm like, yeah, because I see myself in you, both of you, So also like very appreciative of you both.
That's so
for,
nice.
Like sharing your craft, sharing your art, sharing your life. Like you said, it touches so many more people. Like think about how many times like you've DM'd a friend and been like, girl, watch this, listen to this, see this, or like you save something like I'm going to listen to that later. Like, and you just do that like pretty regularly. And like that person who like made that thing maybe doesn't even know that, So like the reach is far, and it's just great to see both of y'all doing your thing.
But yeah, you in that category too. Don't be selling yourself short. You be doing it with your body. Okay, Bahati and I would be talking.
Girl, what does that mean?
I'll be like, you're dancing with your body in the forms. That's what I meant.
No, that was just so
Chloe,
funny.
you need to give context. I was like, wait, what? That's a
over here just body
freak
rolling.
Nasties.
Body rolling.
What I was trying to say before you freak nasties try to make it weird was that no, I think you do the same thing with your body as a dancer, okay? As a dancer, you tell, you're also a storyteller, and I think also, Viet and I, we have conversations about your art, and I think it's so cool to hear about what you express and how you do it, like with physically. It's a very different form than something that I do, and I think like it's so magnificent. Just the way that you move, just your presence on stage is representation more than enough. So that's all to say. Support Black women.
Support us.
Every day.
Do it. Ba-ba-boo-bop, ska.
I need to have y'all on the vlog too, because that's a conversation I've been wanting to have, just about like Black women creatives and how we're navigating that space, because it's tough. It's like
it's hard out here. It's hard.
Writing, dancing. I would love to touch on those.
Absolutely. Like
wow,
what we said,
we're always...
this is like
Go
a
ahead,
2,
Via.
3-part, 4-part conversation. Like this is,
No, for
we're just
real.
touching upon it. We have so
Totally.
many more things to say. Yeah, thank you, Bahati. Like thank you so much for your time.
Thank y'all.
It has been such a fantastic conversation. We appreciate your honesty. We appreciate your energy. And like Viet said, we definitely have to have you back. We have to come on your vlogs because I just feel like there's so much more to say.
Mm-hmm.
So much.
So much. All the things.
Too much. I know.
Oh, well, on that note, thanks y'all. Thanks listeners for tuning in again. Reminder, we're here every 2 weeks with a new episode. So stay tuned for the next one. Share this with your friends, your families, other people in your lives. Support Black women while you're at it. I don't know.
Support Black women.
Do it. Ska-pa-do-pa-pa-ka. Are we just going to end with us scatting? That's how we're going to wrap up the episode.
Yeah, we should. What do we have to do? I'm going to ask Ola to fade out us like just scatting.
5, 6, 7, 8. Scuba ba-da-da.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
All right. Like Viet said, we love you guys. We'll see you Sunday after next with your paycheck, okay?
Mm-hmm. Payday. Episode
Payday.
day. Bye, y'all.
Bye.